So today I decided that I'm gonna talk about my top 10 books of 2022. I read, I think it's 24 books this year, and it's not as much as I wanted just because like school and like different stuff got in the way. But yeah, I'm gonna share my top 10 list. I know it's already the new year, but like might as well share my top picks. So just in case you haven't read any of these, you can go pick this up for this year 2023. If you haven't already, make sure you subscribe to my channel. I have a lot of content planned for 2023, so just subscribe and stay tuned. If you haven't already, make sure you follow my Instagram and my TikTok too, and also my Pinterest. Everything is the same username. Coming in at number 10, we have It Starts With Us by Colleen Hoover. Now, I gave this book 4 stars because it was a really good book. I like that it was a continuation of It Ends With Us. It honestly wasn't needed. I know a lot of people just think It Ends With Us should have ended how it did, and there shouldn't have even been a second book. I partially agree, just because most of the book was just like fluff. It wasn't really needed, but I gave it 4 stars because I ultimately still really enjoyed it. I love reading about Lily and Atlas. I love Lily's story. I just like It Ends With Us more for obvious reasons. So number 9 on my list is The Hating Game by Sally Thorne. I gave this book 4 stars. I actually watched the movie before I read the book, which is like kind of bad of me to say, but like I did it because I was kind of contemplating picking up The Hating Game. Basically, this is just like a workplace romance, co-workers to lovers and enemies to lovers, even though it's like enemies to lovers, except he's loved her the entire time. Like, the book literally starts off with the definition of hate. Like, she actually does hate him, but then he like is just the whole time is just acting like he hates her, but he's actually in love with her the whole time. So sometimes with books like that, I just get really annoyed with the heroine. The guy is making it so obvious that he doesn't actually hate her, and then she just like can't get past her own like it just kind of makes me annoyed. That's the only reason it ranked number 9. Number 8 on my list is Twisted Love by Anna Wong. I did really like this book. I think I also rated it 4 stars. I think the problem with me and why I ranked it low was because the book that I read before Twisted Love was a book that I like absolutely adored, and I was just trying to move on to the next book and not get into like a little like reading slump. So I think Twisted Love just really couldn't hold up to the other book that I read. So I was like not enjoying it as much. I felt like there was like, I don't know, I felt like there was like barely a plot. I know with the whole Twisted series, a lot of people like either really love it, like diehard fans, or they just don't really like it. Twisted Love just wasn't quite it for me because there wasn't really, aside from like the ending and all the trauma and the little plot twists and stuff like that at the beginning, I felt like they just instantly got together. There was no like burn. I don't love slow burns, but I like there to be some like, oh, it's like brother's best friend. So her brother finds out, and then something else was also happening at the same time, so the brother was just like, and whatever, and it wasn't like as big of a deal as I really thought it would be. I don't know, it kind of disappointed me in that way. So yeah, he just so easily changed from being closed off to like open to her, and it just happened so fast, and I was like, I need the conflict. Like, I need more. I need the conflict. I need the back and forth. Like, are they or aren't they? So number 7, I have Love on the Brain by Ali Hazelwood. I really like The Love Hypothesis, and the only reason I ranked Love on the Brain higher was because in my eyes they're basically the same book, but I read them really far apart, and Love on the Brain kind of like stuck with me more, and I feel like I connected with the characters more, which is the only reason I ranked it higher, because they are basically the same story. It is set in academia. The main guy was described the exact same way in both books, and I feel like the only reason Love on the Brain ranked higher was just because it's like more recent in my mind, and I like spread them out pretty far. And I know some people who have read them back to back, and they were just like, this is the same book, and I was like, yeah. But Ali Hazelwood is a really good writer. She kept it entertaining the whole time, and that's why I ranked it number 7. Number 6 on my books of this year is Ugly Love by Colleen Hoover. I really enjoyed this book. I think it was beautifully written. I mean, Colleen Hoover, I just love the way Colleen Hoover writes. I know even some of my friends, they just don't like Colleen Hoover, but personally, I love Miss Colleen Hoover. So Ugly Love ranked number 6 for me, and basically it is another brother's best friend, which I just love brother's best friend. I don't know what it is, but like even in my last video, I was like, brother's best friend, like it's just one of my favorite tropes, and I like couldn't tell you why, because it's not like I relate to any of that, but like just the principle of it, I kind of like it. Kind of like sneaky with the dual perspectives of past and present. Whenever Miles was like telling about his previous relationship, because that's kind of what it's about, like he's like learning to love the heroine in Ugly Love, but he's also like telling the story of like why he is the way he is. And I felt like the past entries, obviously they were super intense. It was a super intense and really sad relationship, and it was sad what happened, but I feel like it took away from the present relationship, and it was like, oh, well, he definitely doesn't love her as much as the past girl. So it kind of just like, that's the only reason why it didn't rank higher on my list. So number 5 on my list is The Fine Print by Lauren Asher. I did not even know this book existed. I've talked about it before. I literally did not even know this book existed until I went into Barnes & Noble one day, and I like went to go check out. I was like, this is a cute book. It's probably about Disney or Hogwarts or something, and basically about Disney. Like, I don't know how to describe it. I guess like stipulations, because each of the brother has a stipulation that their grandfather put on them so that they can like get their inheritance since he passed away. The art like within the pages and at the start of the chapters, I just like really enjoyed it. I feel like it was a really nice touch to add that. I don't see a lot of books doing that anymore. And to add the playlist at the beginning. The playlist was also at the beginning of Twisted Love, which I like, but I just like when the author makes a playlist for the book. I love listening to music while I read, like music that goes with the book. Sometimes I do and sometimes I don't, just depends. But anyways, I just love that like the author sets the mood of the book with a playlist, whether you listen to it or not. I just think it's like just extra thought that's put in there, and I really, really like it. And Lauren Asher is a fantastic writer. She is a queen at writing Grumpy Sunshine, and it's also very spicy, and I love that. At number 4, we have November 9 by Colleen Hoover. I really contemplated putting this book higher, and literally the only reason it wasn't higher on the list was because there's other books that I loved more, but oh my god, November 9 is wild. Like the plot twist, I was like, I almost cried. Like it was a lot, and I really liked that it dealt with the heroine's insecurities, and then the guy being like, no, but you're beautiful, and just like helping her through all of that, because I know a lot of us can relate to being insecure, even if it's not as drastic as like what she went through. All of us can somehow relate to being insecure, and then someone just like telling you you're good enough, and I think that it was just like a really good message. And then the plot twist was just like, it was just like phenomenal, and I was like, oh, I was like, that's kind of bad, but like ultimately obviously they got through and worked it out, but like it was wild, and I love a good plot twist in books. At number 3, we have It Ends With Us. This is one of my favorite books, but once again, the only reason it didn't rank higher was because I read other books that were more like fresh in my mind, and I just feel like I thoroughly enjoyed them more. But like, that doesn't discount from the fact that It Ends With Us is really, really good. Some people don't like, they feel like Colleen Hoover romanticized trauma, but I did not get that. I got that I felt like the book was really, really real when going through Lily's trauma and her abusive relationship. I did not know if she was really gonna stay in the relationship and like it was gonna get better, or if she was gonna go back to the guy in her past that she talks about. The Ellen entries are a little cringy, like it could have easily been something else, but I like that it gave that perspective on her past. I think it definitely should have trigger warnings and stuff. Ultimately, I think it put a really good message out there, because domestic violence situations are really hard for a lot of women and men to get out of. So I think it really shed a light on like that internal struggle of like, oh my god, I love this person, but like this is not good. This is not a good situation. And then giving them chances, and then them breaking your trust and rebuilding your trust. I don't particularly read books with like domestic violence in it, but I feel like a lot of them are like, okay, we're working through it, or it's just like not really addressed, or like the toxic relationship is like okay, and like I don't know. I just really like the way she handled it. That book is so good. If you have not already read it, beware. There is a lot of trauma. Go read about the triggers and stuff like that if you need to. But it was really, really good and like very, very moving. Okay, so number 2, we have A Million Kisses in Your Lifetime by Monica Murphy. I did not think I was gonna like this book as much as I did. Now, the reason I ranked it number 2 was not for the plot, it was for the romance. The romance was like so spicy and borderline like, oh, this is kind of, if you know what I'm talking about. I just love a good spicy book, and that's literally the only reason it ranked number 2. And in the end, him literally going from a bad boy to being like practically the most thoughtful boy ever, like Crew, I love. And I also said in my last video, territorial men in books specifically. Yeah, and also they went to a boarding school. He owns the boarding school and she's like this good girl and he wants to corrupt her. I don't know. I'm the first one that will tell you I am not for any of that in real life, but something about the way this book was written, I was just like, keep going. I was like, keep going. I literally ate it up. I read it on like my road trip back from LSU to home, and I just ate it up, and that's why I ranked it number 2. So number 1, I gave this book 5 out of 5 stars. I read it over the summer and I haven't been able to get it out of my head. It is literally just, I love it, and it is Every Summer After by Carly Fortune. That is my literal number 1 book of the year. I absolutely love this book. It is literally just, in my opinion, an adult version of The Summer I Turned Pretty. And The Summer I Turned Pretty, just the whole concept of like friends on vacation falling in love with like family friends on vacation. I don't know what it is about that trope, but it's my like hands down my favorite trope. And they had a little falling out. Something happened when they were kids and they like didn't end up together when they were kids. But then she goes back after not being at the town for years and then connects with the old spark. And it just pulled at my heartstrings. And I just really, really love it. And I think that it was obviously the best book that I read all year. I remember reading it on vacation. I think this is also part of it. I was reading it on vacation with my friend's family, and the book was about like her going on this vacation every year and then not going anymore, and like falling in love, and then falling in love with him as a kid, and then falling in love with him as an adult. And I think that's just like what really got me. I was like, oh my god. I was like, I love this trope. So yeah, that's why I ranked it number 1. It was just absolutely phenomenal. So those are my top 10 books of the year. If you have not read any of these books, I know some of them I was a little like, but ultimately they made it to my top 10. They are good books. So go buy them at the link in my bio. I linked everything on Amazon. Amazon has really good prices for books. Everyone probably knows that already, but they have really good prices for books. That's like where I've been buying all my books lately. So yeah, go buy the books, read them for yourself, and if you've read any of these books, let me know what you think down in the comments, and let me know what books you think need to be on my 2023 TBR, because I have a lot of books to read, and my goal is to read a lot more books this year. So I need good recommendations that will like just keep me reading, just like chugging through them. So yeah, thank you so much for watching, and everyone have a very happy 2023. I'm so excited to start the new year and start being consistent on this channel so I can like grow with you guys and you can like see all my little reading vlogs and stuff. So yeah, thank you so much for watching, and I'll see you in the next video.